Welcome to Eddie's Launchpads, the Dogsthorpe Infant School podcast for parents, teachers and schools.
All aboard!
Okay, Eddie, start the countdown.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Part of the Hampton Academies Trust.
Yes, welcome back to Eddie's Launchpads. It's a Dogsthorpe Infant School podcast for parents, teachers and schools. Last week, you'll remember that we talked to the Great Central Railway. What a wonderful railway it is, and we talked about that. If you've not listened to the show, then skip over and listen to that first. Then you'll know exactly what we're talking about. Last time we talked about the past, how it all began, about what it offers now, the great resources for schools and for families to go and visit, and the many events that they're putting on at the moment, and all of the wonderful amenities they've got, and what makes that railway, that heritage railway, so special in the world. It's really worth listening to that podcast. So if you've not listened to it, go back and listen to last week's. But we welcome back onto the show Ian and Malcolm from the Great Central Railway. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello, Dave. Good to be back again.
Hello.
We talked about the past last week and the present. Let's talk about the future, because you're working on a very, very important project at the moment on the railway, aren't you?
We are indeed. And last week, I spoke about the 8 miles of railway that we currently run from Loughborough to Leicester. But the subject for today is how, in the future, we want to create more of the past by extending to create a much longer railway by joining up with our sister railway that runs from Nottingham.
Go on YouTube, folks, listeners, go on YouTube and find this out, because there's a lot of work ahead of them, and they've made a really great start, but there is a lot of work and they need our help. What are the sorts of things that stand in your way before you can join those two great lines together?
Well, what we've got today, as I mentioned, we've got the 8 mile of the railway that we look after running from Loughborough to Leicester. And then our sister organisation runs from the outskirts of Nottingham south to Loughborough. But it doesn't quite meet up with us, because when the railway closed, and you need to listen to last week's podcast to learn a bit more about that. But when the railway was closed, the bit north of where we are in Loughborough, and then runs across the existing National Rail line, the Midland Main Line at Loughborough, that was all dug up and taken away. In fact, the spoil from that, the embankment that was taken away, was used to create another bit of railway locally back in the 1980s. So there is a missing 500-metre bit of railway that we need to recreate. But it's not a simple bit of railway. It's not just a question of putting tracks down on a bit of sort of plain land. It requires an embankment to be built. It requires a significant length of viaduct to be built, and some new bridges. So it's quite a challenge, particularly for a heritage organisation like us, to quite literally bridge this 500-metre gap that currently exists. However, we have made some really, really solid progress over the last few years. So I mentioned the Midland Main Line, the National Rail main line. There's already a bridge being put back in to run over that. That was done back in 2017. So that's a huge tick in the box. And without that, the project really would be dead, because that's the most challenging part of it, really. There's another bridge over a main road, the main road between Loughborough and Nottingham. That's been replaced. It was life expired, the one that was there. That's now been replaced. That was done and completed back in 2022. There's a bridge over the canal. That's been refurbished. It's the original bridge from 1899, but that's been refurbished. But what's left to do is all the rest of it. So there's about 100 meters of embankment to put in, and a couple of 100 meters of viaduct to create, and a couple more bridges in order to join the two together. And it's that that we are now wanting to progress. Now we've had a bit of a huge milestone, actually, not a bit of, a huge milestone recently, with the granting of planning permission for the remaining construction work, which was wonderful news. That was with our local council. And with that milestone now in the bag, we are pushing forward to the next stage. So it's getting very exciting. It's
a huge mammoth project, isn't it?
It is a very big project, and in Heritage Railway terms, this is by far the biggest project that's active today. It's going to be huge, and it's going to create an 18-mile railway that will run from the outskirts of Nottingham right through to the outskirts of Leicester. So this is a really significant project, and it's not just about filling in that 500-metre missing gap of railway. It's about creating what will be an 18-mile railway and a real jewel in the from a visitor attraction perspective, a real jewel in the crown.
Well, if you want to, listeners, if you want to find out just what we're talking about, go on to the YouTube channel, because they've got a great YouTube channel. Go on to it and you'll see there's some great film, and there's an artist impression of what it's going to look like and what is still to be done. And there's also ways in which we can contribute to this fantastic project. What an amazing thing it will be if we can get these two together. Have you got the rails, the track to do it?
We've got some of the bits. There will be a need to buy some new rails to bridge the gap, and not least that part of what we've got to do is to run a railway past a factory that builds precision components. So we need to cause them as little vibration as possible. So we'll be putting in some new rail there that will be welded together, which is the same as the national rail network, to create a very smooth ride and not to cause any disruption there. But some of the parts that we'll need, particularly for the signalling and so on, we've already got ready to be installed.
It sounds really, really exciting. In practical terms, because there are two different organisations, two different groups running it. Presumably, you'll be setting trains in both directions.
Yes, absolutely. But when we get to that point, there won't be two groups running it. It will be one organisation.
Oh, right.
And one of the things, since I've been in this job over the last 2 or 3 years, we've been working ever more closely with our colleagues at the Nottingham end to bring the two organisations ever closer. So there's a lot that we're doing from a process perspective, bringing the two together. We're running events together. We've done some fantastic events for the public, where we've opened up both ends of the railway, and then we've connected the two together using a vintage rail replacement bus service to bridge the missing section, which I enjoyed the tongue-in-cheek nature of that, but that's been really, really popular. So that's been fantastic. Right through to back in the late summer, we did a joint summer party between the two organisations that we held at the northern end, at the Nottingham end, which was really well attended by people from both bits of the railway, and was fantastic. So it's not only about physically connecting the railway, it's also from a business and process perspective, but most importantly of all, it's actually about bringing the people together, and we're already advancing with that. Now, at some point between now and then, and we've already begun work on this, we're going to need to formally bring the two organisations together to create one operating business, because you can't effectively operate this railway by having one organisation at one end running trains and one organisation at the other. That would be a pretty ineffective way and an efficient way of doing it. So we're very much on that journey.
In regard to, let's talk money. In regard to the finance that's needed and your fund, your unification fund, how much are you short at the minute?
Well, so we've recently undertaken some work on the ground. So we've done some ground investigation survey work, which is kind of digging down into the ground, boreholes, to understand precisely what is in the ground. And with that information, the design work that's been done for the viaducts and embankments and the bridges I've spoken about, we can finalise all of that and get that final cost together. So the truth is, we don't know the final cost yet. We've got estimates, but we don't know the final cost, and we haven't published the final cost yet. But you can expect that it'll be a number of millions of pounds. Now, we already have, thanks to the generosity of donors, we've got £2.5 million in the bank for the project already. So we're able to begin to get on with the next stages of work, and that's allowed for the design work and the planning application process to have taken place successfully, which is really good. What we'll need to do now, when we've finalised what the cost of the project's going to be, is to then launch a big fundraising plan, and that will be a combination of seeking individual donors right through to seeking grant from some of the larger grant giving organisations. And we've been really touched by where some of these donations have come from. I know you've got listeners or in other countries, and we've got donors from as far afield as the United States, from Canada, from Australia and New Zealand, which is really, really wonderful, and makes such a huge difference to making this really, really exciting project a reality. We've had a number of people leave money in their wills to this project as well, in collections at funerals for this project. So there's a real desire from the railway supporters to see this project come to fruition.
Because what it says to me is that what an amazing resource it will be for schools in Nottingham, Leicester, Peterborough, to have them all together, having this huge heritage railway will be a fantastic resource for our children and our future generations. But also it's something for the cities to be proud of, the different cities to be proud of, because it's not just a little trip down the road anymore. It's a sit down full job. And to think that you can get from the edges of Nottingham to into Leicester and to the Space Centre. I mean, if I had children, I'd want to take my kids on that. No trouble. Once it's open, it'll be wonderful. If people want to contribute to the fund, have you got a particular link or something that we can put in the text, or so people could contribute?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean it's through our website at gcrailway.co.uk, but I'll make sure that you've got the specific link to donate to reunification.
Yeah, please do. And if you are thinking about this, or maybe thinking about where could maybe I remember the trains of years ago when I was a lot younger than I am now, and perhaps you're coming towards the end of your twilight years and your end of your life. Think about this amazing railway. You could contribute and give something back and leave something for future generations. Oh, it's been wonderful talking to you, gentlemen. I would like now to quickly go back to what you offer now, and particularly your events as we approach autumn and as we approach Christmas. What have you got planned in the coming months?
Well, as we lead going into the autumn and up to Christmas, it's probably one of the busiest times of year for us. So we've got a huge amount going on over the next few weeks and months. At the beginning of October, we have our big Steam Enthusiasts Gala. So that's a 4-day event running from Thursday to Sunday, with about 9 steam locomotives in action and a really, really intense timetable. And we've got some guest locomotives coming in for that as well, including a very big LMS passenger locomotive called the Hammers. So that's going to be a really fantastic event. So if you're interested in steam, that's certainly worth coming along for. And the dates for that are the 2nd to the 5th of October. And then beyond that, we've got our annual bonfire event on the 5th of November. That always sells out fast. So if you're interested in going along to that, as soon as that's on sale, do get booked for that. We then have another enthusiast event at in the middle of November, which is our sort of last of season, using our 4 or 5 home fleet locomotives to get a last bit of steam action for the enthusiasts before we then move into the big event for the end of the season, is our Santa Express train, where our family visitors in particular get to meet Santa and get a gift from Santa, all aboard, of course, a steam hauled train, which is a wonderfully evocative and fantastic atmosphere. And as part of that, we get to meet Santa more than once, and also get to get on the footplate of the steam locomotive, have the photograph taken of the steam locomotive, and so on. So a really wonderful experience to get everyone in the family in the mood for Christmas. In the last show, we talked about our first class dining experiences as well. Of course, they run all year round, but as we lead up to Christmas, we have a Christmas menu as you'd expect. What better way to get ready for Christmas than by having a festive meal on board a steam-hauled first-class dining train.
Going back to the Santa Express, we of course got school visits to come on our Santa Express. We've got a small diesel rail car called Iris, who carries beautifully a class and a half of children, about 50, and that's dressed for Christmas and travels the same route as the main Santa Express. And remarkably, Santa finds time to come and join those children on the journey, along with Mrs. Claus and other helpers. And we've got, for the first time this year, a Nottingham school who's hiring a complete Santa Express midweek train for their entire infant and early years school. So we're really looking forward to that. And if there's any schools out there listening who want to end their term with a real bang, then please get in touch with us, because we've still got time to put some of those extras in place.
No, that's lovely. That sounds ideal. Brilliant. You're doing some great work, guys. You really are. You've got a little branch line, haven't you? Because I remember seeing the little branch line going off. And you sometimes use that, don't you?
We do indeed, yes. Yeah. We've got a little short branch line off our main line to a village called Mount Sorrel. Which is very nice, and that also serves a heritage centre that are on the way to Mount Sorrel, which is definitely worth a visit, particularly for the young children.
See, there's so much there. Oh, we could be talking for hours all about this wonderful, wonderful railway. And get over there and have a look and check them all out. And you're working on a signal box and little sidings I saw on YouTube.
The Loughborough signal box, which is one of the original Great Central Railway features on the line, has recently had a lick and polish to bring that up to modern standards. Yes, that's going on, and the siding work that goes on, it's part of the ongoing maintenance of the railway. We can't leave it as is. It's got to be constantly maintained to modern safety standards, and if you visit the railway, you'll often see our volunteer and employed workforce dressed in their orange high-vis gear, doing trackside maintenance and also track work as well. So it's a 365-day-a-year job keeping a railway like this in a fit and proper state to carry passengers.
Well, long may you continue. Ian and Malcolm, thank you for your time today. I know you're both very busy men. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for giving us this wonderful railway. And we will still keep in touch with you. And if there's any time that our school's podcast can help you advertise or bring something new, or if you've got something about the fund, the unification fund, get back in touch with us. Me and Eddie are always happy to help.
It's been a joy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Well, that's all for this week, folks. So until Eddie and Captain Dave take another flight of learning on the launch pad, every day, in every way, be ready, be safe, be respectful, and never forget to dream, believe, and shine. Dogsthorpe Infant School is part of Hampton Academies Trust. Eddie's Launchpads is an EdStar production for Dogsthorpe Infant School.